All right. All right. Good evening. Welcome to the August 8th, 2024 Southeast Polk School Board meeting. Karen, can I get roll call
Brett,
here?
Bridget,
Here.
Lori,
Here.
Rick,
Here.
Whitney, Chad,
Here.
Kelly,
All right. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Are there any changes, Dr. Lo?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Thank you. Karen?
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes. All right. If you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Do I have any volunteers for district vision and mission?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
It's been a while. Southeast Polk will learn, lead, live, success for college, career, and civic life. Engage all students in learning a challenging curriculum delivered through quality instruction.
Thank you. All right, now is the time for public comments. If there's anybody wishing to address the board for anything on the agenda or not on the agenda, now's the time to do so. Don't come running up here at once, though. We don't want anybody get injured. So Gary, slow down. Anybody? Don't be shy. All right, seeing nobody. Kevin, didn't have any email in or anybody? Okay. All right, having no public comments, we'll move along. 1F consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to
Go ahead.
motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for administration? Okay, hearing none. Karen?
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
New and old business. 2A will be the Kids Club agreement for the
Motion to approve the Kids Club agreement for 24,
Yeah, it
23.
should just be 24, 25.
Yeah,
Yes.
24, 25.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Kevin, or I see Mr. Kids Club is here to answer any questions too. So between the two, you got anything for us? Or?
Find out.
Find out answers. Well, we appreciate you working with us, and
We appreciate.
I think it's a good cooperative.
Yeah.
Does everybody well, so. Okay, any questions? Bruce, okay. Karen?
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
All right, 2B will be the approval of our district safety plan.
Motion
Obviously,
to approve the district safety plan. Second.
Okay. Obviously, we have to be careful on questions as this is an in-house document. But are there any simple questions for administration on this? We can't get into particular of the policies on that, but
Do we feel like our safety plan meets our objectives?
Yes.
Yes.
Sounds good.
did everybody have time to review it or feel confident?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we appreciate you.
Oh,
Oh, okay, after the vote. All right, Karen?
Whitney,
yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Did everybody? Okay, now I can officially sign it. There you go, Joe. Oh, you all have to sign it. As they're signing it, we'll move on to C, the audit report.
Motion to approve the district audit report.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. McCollum?
We have Mia from Melt here with Bob Second from Melt to do a short presentation for the board.
Good evening. In front of you are the slides, just to summarize the audit results, and I'm happy to take any questions. So in terms of the first slide, just to inform you of the deliverables from the year-end audit, there's the bound financial audit that has all your financial information. And then there are two letters that are issued. One's called a board communication letter that summarizes the audit, and the other is a control deficiency letter that summarizes advice suggestions for you as we're performing the audit. We performed 3 audits: the financial statement audit, a government auditing standards audit, which is over internal controls and also over laws, regulations, and compliance with agreements. And then we performed a federal single audit, since the district annually expends more than $750,000 in federal grants. This year, the district expended $5.5 million in federal grants in fiscal year 23, I should say. Of that, the child nutrition program was $3.3 million. And then the education stabilization program, or ESSER, was $840,000. And both of those were the programs that were tested as part of the year-end audit. I also wanted to point out there's a new accounting standard that has an ongoing impact to you. It's called the subscription-based information technology arrangements. Anytime an organization enters into a multi-year agreement for IT subscriptions, then that is now required to be recorded more like a capital asset and like a financing agreement. It was not significant to the district for fiscal year 2023. It added an asset of about $145,000 to the financial statements. But on an ongoing basis, you might see that. We're noticing school districts have quite a few when you look at subscriptions primarily for curriculum, safety, those kinds of things that tend to be signed over several years to have discounts or to make sure that you have the curriculum in place for over several years. So that is new this year. Okay, in terms of audit results, an unmodified opinion was issued on the financial statements. So in the bound financial report, when you see auditor opinion, it goes through the basis of the opinion and states that it's unmodified, meaning that it follows accounting principles in the United States of America. So that's what we call a clean opinion, or the highest level of opinion to receive. So that's a good report. In terms of government auditing standards, we take a look at internal controls, and we take a look at your compliance with state laws and regulations, and also debt agreements. I highlighted, if you wanted to go into the detail, the page. There are 2 material weaknesses that are reported under internal controls. They are over bank reconciliations, and then they are over audit adjustments that were required as part of the year-end audit. The detail of those findings tend to tell the story, right? Why there's a finding, what condition we based it on, what occurred that created that finding, and then ultimately recommendations for how to improve that. The bank reconciliations, that finding I'd like to summarize is in terms of a timing finding. There were several reconciling items that were not adjusted or resolved in a timely manner until the spring of 2024. Those ultimately were resolved and adjusted. There's a remaining balance in the condition of about $38,000. That ultimately then is going to be adjusted in your subsequent year through the resolution of those reconciling items. So there's a combination of the timing of when the reconciliations are done. A change in how reconciliations are being done, where it's being done more through the system that is causing a delay in how timely those are occurring. But there's certainly suggestions in our finding, and we've already been planning for 2024 with Kevin on how to rectify that going forward. In terms of the audit adjustments necessary, that has to do with timing as well. There's been significant change in the business department. And one of the letters attaches the representation letter from management, which includes the journal entries that were required as part of the year-end audit. And so that provides you the detail of what was necessary to post as part of that process. Are there any questions on those?
So the 38,000 you said, that's being reconciled into this year, or it's paying off bills from 2023?
It's being reconciled into fiscal year 20.
Okay. All right. And you had mentioned the IT subscription was considered a capital asset. How does it meet that definition?
So it's the right to use their software of the vendor that so it's more like an intangible asset.
Okay.
And it's amortized over the life of the agreement.
Okay, so over the subscription, I wish I could speak tonight.
It's a tough,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, thank you.
In terms of the compliance with state laws and regulations, there were some items we're required to report that are in the compliance section of the report. That did not rise to a material item, but we do have an obligation to the state auditor to report back what we find regardless of the level of the finding. And last, over the federal audit, which we tested the child nutrition program and the ESSER program. There was a significant deficiency in the child nutrition program, and it had to do with documenting the meals that were reported to the state. It's not unusual for meals to change, but the documentation was not there to support what was ultimately submitted. So we did, since we only do a sample, we were required to report that. And then there's recommendations there to maintain the documentation that was used for the initial submission to the state for reimbursement. We did not have any compliance findings as a result of testing ESSER and the child nutrition.
So once you report that, what's the next step? Is it just us adjusting how we keep our records?
The Department of Education will follow up and then determine what happens with that.
Okay.
But yes, the next step really is those monthly submissions of the report that comes from your point of sale system.
Mhm.
The monthly submission to the state, then whatever documentation was used is to make sure that's retained.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Would you think that this audit was a normal standard report like any other school district or out of the ordinary?
This was a little bit out of the ordinary, especially for your district. It was a little bit longer of a process, a little bit more difficult this year, I think, with changes in personnel and in how processes are performed.
How much longer did it take than normal?
Well, we historically will start the audit end of October, early November, and we'll have a report turned around to you then for the January meeting. So we started the audit in November and then had the report to you turned around in June. Our plan is to work with Kevin to make that back to the original time.
Okay.
Question?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming up.
For all your time.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along, 2D, this will be
We
the
need to
first-
vote.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Chad,
Motion.
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
All right. Just got caught up in the finances.
Thank you.
All right, first read of the policies.
Motion to approve the first read of the policies.
Susan?
Second.
Thank you, Rick. Any questions for the policy committee?
Just a few comments. I did find a few typos in there. I can just send those over. It's not something worth wasting time on here. I think when I was reviewing the policies, and maybe this is just me, but sometimes it's hard to identify exactly what all the colors and everything mean. And to differentiate maybe between what's IASB or legal change versus things that we're changing, like as Southeast Polk. And I know there is color coding in there probably to indicate all that. I think it might be helpful if there was a way to clearly distinguish that. Maybe there's just a note at the beginning about that. And then also like some of the policy changes, there's a clear statement on like why it's changing, but then others there isn't. And so without having the context of a policy committee discussion, it's hard to maybe decipher the difference there. So I just think maybe there are things we could do in the way this is presented to make it easier for the rest of the board to digest it and know what to focus on and what's just like a clerical change to a policy or something that we have to do to comply with law.
Aaron, was the blue was IASB, right? Blue was the committees.
Yeah.
And green was, seemed like, so you guys, there was a lot of blue in there. Right.
A little bits of.
I think it was mostly green and
Green.
red.
It was green and red. Red.
There are a couple policies too in there where there's like kind of either or language. Or it'll say like, you can take the stuff in italics and take the italics off it and leave it in there. It wasn't clear to me reading it whether that's what we were proposing or not, because it was just kind of left in there in italics. So there's just a few things like that as I'm reviewing it without sitting down with somebody that was in the meeting, I don't really have the answers to. So that's my general comment.
Would it just be easier if the changes were just one color with an explanation of the changes or synopsis of it?
I mean, I think the color is fine. If there was just something on each policy that said, this is a IASB change, this is a legal change, this is a clerical update. This is a policy we decided to change because of something happening at Southeast Polk, and we want to handle the situation differently. And I think that's probably the minority. Maybe there's not even much in there like that. This is more like us just keeping things in compliance, but just knowing that when I'm reading the policies that I'm not missing something in there, because it's a pretty decent like document to go through each time.
Well, most of them are usually
We
legal
didn't,
changes or right.
we didn't go crazy in the policy committee adding new stuff.
Okay.
I would call you. If we did.
Okay. Okay.
Well, and I too, like kind of found it tricky to know how to read them, because the language is just so, legalese, kind of like reading an audit. It's very specific language. And yeah, maybe I trying to figure that out, knowing if I'm reading it correctly or not, even if I know there are no concerns to substantial, like the substantive, the change, the actual change that's happening, no question about, but just how to read it correctly and know, we didn't find anything that we needed to, I don't know, have any concern about or big question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think everything in green is IASB, either language or recommendations. And I know Karen leaves that in there so that you all have context of what that was. And then you can see what the changes were and maybe how the committee, but as far as the synopsis, we can figure out how to make that or help make it make more sense if you weren't part of the policy.
You know, I'm on the committee and I agree with Chad totally. Knowing ahead of time what the colors are would be great. And which ones are law? Is that the reason we changed it? Which ones are suggestions by the ISBA? Everything Chad said made a lot of sense. I'm even on the committee. It'll make it easier for me to reach that way too, Chad. So, and, good points.
One
Just-
specific question too, so like. On page 30. We're talking about, I think it's internet appropriate use regulation. And maybe this isn't filled in because it's a regulation, but there's language in there that says first violation. And then it says the student may lose internet access for a period of, and then it's just blank. And that's the same with second and third. So are those examples, is that something that's gonna be filled in by administration, or should there be like time periods that are included in that right now?
Not sure. I don't have that up on my screen.
Okay.
Should we,
I can speak to that a little bit. So some of the new language that came out did have like a menu of options. So for example, on some of the attendance ones, it indicated a menu of options that it gave you. So if you'll notice that one we left as a draft because we'll be meeting with building principals to fill in what those options are. I'll take a look at that internet one. I didn't see that one. So if that's something where it lists things like violation 1, violation 2, then we will need to meet with leaders and articulate that.
Okay. So would that be something that would be updated before like the second read?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
That's very helpful. Thank you to understand that.
yeah, I guess. I was obviously on the committee for a while and the purpose of the color changes obviously is to say who made what change, but I think if you just have a color code and that there's a change. I guess I don't know how you can. Because you could get into a long reasoning of why the changes, and I think that's why we rely on the committee as a whole. To kind of.
Go through them and listen. And-
Yeah,
And
and kind of get that reasoning and. So I guess maybe this is bad on my part. I go through and I just glance at them and kind of see what, if there are, something that would be earth shattering. So I guess I don't get overly worked up on the changes if I know there's blue and green, that's a change somewhere. Somebody decided that was probably better for the district. Red was, it did seem like there was a lot of red, so I'm assuming it was probably legal stuff. So
There's some like consolidation of policies too,
Yeah.
moving around of
a
things.
lot of verbiage that didn't need to be in there, and then they just shortened it to make it sweet, So I guess without making more work for Karen, I guess maybe the policy committee, maybe we put that on them to send something out saying.
Yeah, we didn't
If
make
there's
any-
significant changes, because I don't go through word for word, I just,
we did not create changes. It was just the suggested stuff. And then if we needed to ask, was this legal or this, they answered that. And there was no issues with what was read and described to us whatsoever. And we didn't go through and like, let's wipe out this policy and this policy and add this. So none of that was occurring. It was just standard stuff.
Okay.
Nothing earth shattering occurred in the policy committee.
and just as Karen, just for a reminder for those that are listening or anybody that really cares, how often we go through it's every 3 months or 4 months?
How often do we have a committee meeting?
Well, yeah, because.
You mean? Well, whenever I get them from IASB, so with their changes, and then each group of policy gets reviewed once every 5 years.
Okay. Good. So. Unless it's something that's pressing in the,
Correct.
yeah, okay. Anyway. All right, any other questions on policies or anything, or? I think we kind of work through that and figure out what a better way to do that, so. All right, if there's no other questions, Karen?
Brett,
Yes.
Brett?
Oh,
Brett or
Brett.
Rick?
Brett,
We both said yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes,
Rick,
Yeah, I think it's me. Yes. Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Okay, moving right along here to E, we're gonna open up a public hearing for the amended 2024-25 academic calendar. There were some changes in there that referenced some professional development and stuff, so it is 5:55. And if there's anybody that would like to talk to us about the academic calendar, please come up. You'll have 3 minutes. Your group, 5. That gives you any incentive to come up and get a little more time? No, nobody? Okay. Phyllis, you don't have any questions on the calendar? You missed this stuff? All right, we're gonna, well, Mr. Secretary, did we get any written or? Nothing? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and close the meeting. The public hearing at 5:56. And moving on to approval, I just need approval for the academic calendar changes. Does anybody
Motion.
want to talk about those real quick or not?
motion to approve the changes to the academic calendar, moving Friday, September 27th, staff development day to Friday, September 20th, September 27th to September 20th. The January 13th staff development day to January 20th, 25, and the end of second quarter first semester from January 10 to January 17th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for staff, or did staff want to elaborate on any of that? Just, it's better for everybody around, I think, right? Did I sucker you into coming up? Did I stare at you long enough?
The one in the fall, I think we've talked about it a little bit, just to work with school activities. I'll share more about this coming up, but we do have a wonderful speaker coming in for our fall PD. Chris Nickage is the first young man with Down syndrome to complete a triathlon. And his dad helped him navigate and be successful in the special education system to raise those expectations. So both Chris and his dad will be in our district, and we wanted to make sure that they could make the adjustment to September 20th, and they were gracious enough to make that change. So we're able to change that to the 20th. In January, we just didn't check our calendar. We thought the 13th was MLK Day, the 20th is MLK Day. So moving that PD Day, which has traditionally been held on MLK Day, to allow students an opportunity to engage in service projects, and we wanted to change that back.
We appreciate them making the changes and the administration being willing to do that for the homecoming people, so they can.
All work together. So.
Yep.
Okay.
So we appreciate it. Thank you
All right,
much.
thank you.
All right, Karen?
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes,
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes. All right, 2F, this is the public hearing. We'll go ahead and open up at 5:58 for the plans and specs of the new district office and administrative support service building. If anybody wants to talk about the administrative offices, AKA district office, changes, additions. Nobody, everybody's happy. All right. We will go ahead and close. Oh, Mr. Pecan, any written or anything?
No.
Nothing. All right, we'll go ahead and close the hearing at 5:59 and move on for approval for the plans and specs of the new district office and support.
motion to approve the resolution adopting plans, specs, form of contract, estimate of cost for the new district office and support service building project.
You have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions for Edmund? All right, hearing none. Karen?
Lori,
Yes,
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Okay, 2G, office lease.
I'll move that we approve the extension of the lease agreement with the city of Altoona through April 30th of 2025.
Second,
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, Karen?
Rick,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
yes,
Okay, 2H, this is to purchase a Suburban.
Motion to purchase a couple Suburbans, 2 Suburbans from the Carl Auto Group to be used for student transportation in the amount of $119,179.60.
Second.
All right,
Yes, it's seasons.
Kevin, just to clarify, this was in reference to the 2 vans that were spec'd out wrong. We couldn't use for school districts, so we switched gears, is that correct?
Correct.
Sorry.
Timing now. We did receive 2 vans. I want to say it was 2 years ago, almost a year and a half ago, that did not meet specifications compliance with the State Department. After going out again for vans, we discovered that manufacturers are no longer creating vans that meet the specifications for the state's requirements. That's why we've changed gears now to much leaner, better looking Suburbans for our students to be transported through.
A little more comfortable.
Probably.
All right, any questions for Mr. McCollum on this?
Are the state specifications like that old or are they advanced? What's the issue?
I can speak to why the vans that we had before didn't occur. The vans we had before, they came to us, they were manufactured with the ability to add seats in the back, for that back hookups.
Mhm.
But because they came that way, and because student transportation vans can't have more than 8 students, whether we have seats in there or not, we could not use those vans any longer.
Okay.
So it's really, to answer your question, yes, it's really particular and probably kind of archaic in their
Okay.
standards.
Thank you.
Anything else for Mr. McCollum?
Mhm.
If not, Karen?
Whitney,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Lori,
yes,
Rick,
Yes.
All right, 3A, enrollment update. Mr. Horton?
Little bit of background information. I know I explain this process every time we do this, but I wouldn't feel like I was being complete if I didn't. Our enrollment process actually starts in the early spring with when registration opens. And then I think for us, it really begins in earnest for this year anyway. It began on July 8th. We all got together, principals, myself, district registrar and Karen Haynes. And we placed all resident students whose parents have them registered. Those kids were placed in classrooms first, followed by we reviewed about 125 and growing waivers from across the district. You know, maybe somebody is scheduled to go to Altoona, but they would prefer Clay or something like that. So we did about 125 of those. And like I said, those are still coming in, but I think out of those 125, maybe 3 or 4 we couldn't do. So obviously our vast, the vast majority of families who put in waiver requests were granted those requests, and we were able to entertain that, which is great. And then at that point, we started to place eligible open enrolled students where there was space. Big thank you to everyone for managing, in particular, the rush here that began about a week ago, and I'm sure for the next 15 days, it's not going to back off, and that might even last longer than 15 days. We're still receiving the latest of registrations and processing them and getting kids into their schools. As you can see from the grid I gave you, it's the same grid I give you like twice per month. we've still got some slots and spaces and so on and so forth where we can accommodate families and kids, and in particular, those people who are recently moving here. We'll be monitoring enrollment year round, twice a month, for all of you. And again, we're processing in-district waivers as they continue to come in, and open enrollment applications as those come in. Current status of the district, we're up about 102 students from last year as of 4:25 in the afternoon yesterday. And that's important because a lot has happened since 4:25 yesterday. It always does, just the nature of the beast. Class average sizes continue to look really, really good in the elementary classrooms. Currently, the average class size in Southeast Polk is 22. Again, a number we can all be really, really proud of. Certain sections of kindergarten are filling, as you can tell, if you're looking at the blue marks on the document I gave you. And other grades are filling at Clay and Willowbrook, as you can tell. So kindergarten's booming, Clay's booming, Willowbrook's booming, which is all good news. Overall, there's parity at the new middle school and the junior high. They're both 2-grade buildings, and they should mirror one another for the most part, and they are. Room to grow at the high school, and the reconfiguration appears to be doing what you all and Dr. Lupnick hoped it would do. And there are good early results across the board. Any questions?
Prolong a second high school for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Have to be the Beatles or something that are the
Right.
Ramettes.
Right. Come up with another mascot.
I guess you got to do something different.
That'll be a whole process in and of itself.
We'll call them the Slings dedication.
Yeah. Southeast Polk slings, I like it.
Open enrollment wise, we have more coming in, more going out, pretty even?
Overall,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, only because it's not complete. We're not done. Seems like we've been about 50-50.
Yeah, it's just impossible to tell at this point because we don't know those leaving. We know the requests coming in, but the rest of that doesn't get reconciled until October.
Okay. 102 is pretty strong number so far. Could go up, could go down, but
Right. We tend, we're kind of at where we normally are, seems like at this point. We're up about 100 plus students, give or take. You can almost set your watch to that at Southeast Polk, or at least you could over the last 15 years. Before that, we had a few really big growth spurts, like 250, stuff like that, but we're not seeing those numbers and haven't for really the last 15. But we're growing the way we tend to grow, I guess, would be a good way to put it.
Anything else, Mr. Ward? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. 3B, summer learning.
Well, good evening, board. As we say every year in August, where did the summer go? So it was a good summer, a very busy summer filled with activities and things to prepare for the upcoming school year. So I'm here tonight just to give you a brief overview of some of those things. So there you go, Brett. I'm practicing AI imagery. So this could be, mascot. There we go. I have a long ways to go.
Is that you?
No.
No.
I'm still working on it. So as we talk about things from the summer, we'll talk about things over the summer that support students, professional learning, preparing for the upcoming year, and of course, reading, resting, relaxing, and having fun, which is a very important part of the summer. So we have many structures in place at Southeast Polk throughout the school year, and we want to sustain as many of those through the summer months as we can. So we do provide summer school at some of our buildings. We have opportunities for extended school year for some of our students on individual education plans to maintain and sustain their work on their goals. We also have opportunities for credit recovery for students who may need additional time and practice at the high school level to make sure they don't fall behind on credits. One thing we know at school, having lunch and breakfast every day, we want to make sure that food security is still there for students. So we're able to partner with some of our community organizations. So we had meal sites, free meal sites through federal government. And also we had, oh, that isn't up there, I did change it, sorry, Kids Cafe is also there to provide meals for our students. We had mission transition, which is starting at the middle school building, orientation at all of the secondary buildings. And another thing we have available is the student assistance program. So you know that you always renew to employee assistance and student assistance programming, and that continues through the summer. So we make sure as students are going home for the summer that they know they still have access to those services. So I want to make sure Kids Cafe also is a very valuable partner to us as we provide services for students. Professional learning is big in the summertime. It's big all year long, but that opportunity to dig in and have some intensive learning experiences. We kicked it off right away in June, sent a number of teachers to the Iowa Reading Conference. That's now combined with teacher librarians, and that's held in Ames every year in June. Sent a number of people to that. We sent a rather big group to the standards-based grading workshop at the University of Northern Iowa, mostly secondary teams, and had some great conversations about alignment and moving forward. We always use the summertime for AP training, whether we have a new teacher teaching or we're adding an AP course, getting those required trainings so they're able to make those offerings. We did also offer another section of youth mental health first aid this summer. We continue to offer those and they fill up every time. So that's been a good resource. The picture that you see up in the right-hand corner, we sent several teachers to the Science of Reading Institute, which was held in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We will be sending about 60 teachers to the PLC Institute next week. And you know how we send people every summer. This year, it's in Des Moines. So Ankeny is actually hosting it for all of their staff. And they released some seats that they had left over. And of course, we gobbled them right up. So we have a number of teachers and principals who will be attending that next week. We continue with our environmental learning camp. So teachers can go out there and know how they can use the ELC to provide that environmental learning experience for students. Our literacy coordinators, Carrie Bernstein and Angie Shannon, just offered a 2-day course called the Writing Rope for 34 teachers at Southeast Polk. So really big turnout there. The principals engaged this week, the month of July. We took some time. I know Rick visited us once with some of his creative talents. We had lattes and literacy, and we had great conversations around early literacy and how we can continue to support students at that young age. And we also had some training for skilled trades certification, a grant that our college and career readiness coordinator wrote that provides some free tools, snap-on tools, and provided certification for a teacher to teach that to students. So it was a busy summer in terms of professional learning. I want to add on here a separate slide because not only do we engage in professional learning as we shared last year, many of our staff receive awards or are asked to come present their learning and their experiences to other people. So we had a number of celebrations this summer as well. Down in the middle, in the bottom row in the middle picture, Amy Anderson, our at-risk coordinator, was awarded a fellowship through the University of Iowa and spent 8 days in Norway studying how to relieve mental health stress and teacher burnout. And we'll be bringing some of those things back to our district. So that was a wonderful experience. Blake Keelman, you can see in the right-hand corner, received the ISEA Team Award. we received for the Skilled Trades Center, Prairie Meadows Legacy Grant, which is certainly going to advance the completion of that work for that building. We have a number of professional councils. Amy Drake was named to a national council for teacher librarians. Up at the very top, this was kind of exciting because even the Iowa head of Solution Tree didn't know about this till he got the new book. But every person who goes to a PLC institute receives that book called Learning by Doing. And so that's thousands and thousands of teachers across the United States. And they just updated it to the 4th edition. And on page 12, they cite Southeast Polk as one of their success stories. So yeah, I was home late at night. I got a text from Mr. Amos, the head of Solution Tree. He goes, "You guys are cited on page 12. So he brought us a copy of the book last week, and that was pretty exciting. And then we have a number of conference presenters. You can see Jennifer Howlett presented at the reading conference with her work in reclassifying the library by topical genres rather than nonfiction, author, etc., and how that increased book circulation for students. Down in the bottom, Lisa Williams and Cassie Steenhagen presented at the Science of Reading Conference on how to build structured literacy at the preschool level. And I also had the opportunity to present at that conference as well. So it was a great experience for not only learning, but sharing our learning with others at Southeast Polk. Preparing for the upcoming school year, we don't wait very long before we dig right in again. So even before we left the school year, that last day, that teacher professional development day, we did some data analysis and some goal setting and some school improvement planning. And that leads us into some of the curriculum unit revision. So the curriculum work that we do, prioritizing standards and articulating units, is always done by teacher teams. So each subject area comes in during the summer. We revisit, we revise, we look at our data, and we see where we need to make changes. Of course, with the new school opening, we continue to work our curriculum on grade realignment, making sure that we have a smooth transition as we go into that 6, 7, 8, 9 configuration, and continue to work with those teacher teams this summer. We had some course creation, some new courses that we're bringing in at the high school level and at the junior high and the middle school with our Project Lead the Way, and moving Project Lead the Way, what was at the junior high, to the middle school, and adding the course Medical Detectives at the 8th grade level. So that will be exciting as well. Right now we are, I can't believe it's, the weather's not terrible, because usually it's 95 degrees when our course materials come in, and it's time to go time to go to the warehouse and sort those out. So we are currently organizing course materials, making sure that those are getting out to teachers, where we have increased sections, making sure that those sections are set up, and we're ready to go on day 1. And we are ready to welcome in 63 new teachers at our new teacher workshop next Monday. So very excited about that. And then, of course, you know, they always say in any kind of endeavor, rest is as important as the activity that you do. So we hope that all teachers had a chance for that much deserved time to rest, relax, get caught up in their reading. And I can tell everyone is very excited to get back to their students and get back to the jobs of teaching and learning at Southeast Polk. One thing I do want to mention as I'm closing out, if you have not yet followed us at Southeast Polk Teaching and Learning on Facebook, I would invite you to do so. Brittany showcases all of our new teachers, so you get a chance to meet them and kind of learn a little bit about them and their background and what they're bringing into their new position. And I know I really enjoy reading about them and meeting all of them in that format. Any questions about our summer work?
Thank you. All right, 3C, Mr. Haynes, summer projects. And the updates, busy summer.
Ms. Hens, welcome to the Southeast Polk School Board as a valued member. It's good to see you. Got a lot going on as another short summer ends or coming to an end. State Fair parking is going great so far. Perfect weather for that. One of the first things I had was the Central Place sewer repairs that we needed to do at that building have been completed early on this summer. So that building's up for whatever it needs to be used for. Done. High school, we've had a lot of repairs in the pool area, added some sinks, called the Ceresco blower. It's up on the rooftop. We had to replace that motor in that unit above the pool. That's completed. We did some boiler repairs over at the senior high this year, replacements of 2 boilers of the pumps. That's completed. Spring Creek, that's a pending deal. That's something we don't want to repair if we're going to tear it back out. So that's not even on the charts anymore. Phillips floors, we've got cafeteria flooring and gymnasium flooring that we've been repairing and replacing. That's nearing completion. That's gone a lot slower than I planned on or had hoped for.
Which building is
But-
that in?
Pardon?
Which building is that?
Most of our elementaries.
Okay, are getting floor repairs.
Right now, I think we've got some to do at Clay, 4 Mile, and finishing up at Mitchellville. Some areas that weren't quite done properly, so they're redoing some of that. The pool decking, that's all completed with the tiles that were damaged and replaced tiles that were missing, and that's all completed. All the repair work installations that the pool required now are completed, so that's full of water again and ready to go back into operation now. We haven't been in there to see the completion of it. It's nice. It's really transformed the whole appearance. So proper paint was used because of the corrosiveness in the air in those areas. So ceiling, walls, everything's completed. So it looks really nice, brighter, a lot brighter.
Can they start swimming in there yet? Have they started swimming
Not
yet?
yet.
How much longer do you think it'll be?
I think it's due to around the 15th.
Cool.
So
That it's open or
it
complete?
should be open.
Right at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, we're right down to the wire on that. So. And I'm guessing on the exact date, but I know it's in the near future, and that 15th date seems to ring a strong bell. So from the correspondence that I've seen with coaches, and our maintenance people. I'd like to commend Tyler Farr in our maintenance department, Nate Clement, Sean Kistner, Wayne Huss, because they were spearheads in this pool project. It was a major job to tackle. And when I was absent from the district, they took charge of that, and they followed through and completed it and did a fantastic job. So we've got some great employees who work at Southeast Polk.
Absolutely.
4 Mile, we took a storage room that had a back little offset storage area too. And renovated it, made it into a classroom that they'll need for this year with their expanding growth that they are encountering. So it's all been completed as well. Flooring, walls, all painted and ready to go. The flooring addition at the junior high with the walk-off matting carpeting has all been completed. Grimes Asphalt has completed the sidewalk to the east entrance. Turned out very well, and it'll be one that'll hold up for a long time. So it looks a whole lot fresher and cleaner, more inviting. Concrete and asphalt replacement at Centennial Elementary, the south parking lot, the concrete's been replaced in the areas that are required there. And we did some elevation and drainage sloping in that So it'll improve the parking lot usage and the dumpster areas too. They started this morning over at the north lot and grinding out the asphalt. And they should be back in there tomorrow to finish asphalting the north lot, so that'll be completed. And then the first part of the week, we had left one of the approaches into that parking lot where we didn't replace with concrete yet because of heavy machines that were coming into that lot for today. So then first of the week, they'll be coming back and doing the concrete replacement on the entrance and a few sidewalk areas around the parking lot. So that's nearing completion.
Does it have to be painted then, or? is that-
Yes, it will still
Okay.
need to paint. Tomorrow, the classrooms that we made at Willowbrook Elementary will be completed. We took existing rooms and made them into required classrooms to get them by with their changing needs that they are encountering. Are in the process of adding restrooms in the warehouse area to help accommodate with the transportation people and future needs of that building. And the two offices and restrooms are nearing completion, and they should be back over there on Monday to finish with the mudding, extering and painting on the office areas and getting those finished up, and the restrooms as well. So that's nearing completion. Delaware Elementary replaced the flooring in the art room and replaced some deteriorating wood shelving that they had with new shelving that Tyler Farm made by hand. So it looks really nice. They did it in our brand new shop, and he painted it there and everything, took it over and installed it. So thank you for the shop. It's worked out very, very well. Transportation building that's pending with renovations on what should and shouldn't be done, ideas, whatever. There's a lot to investigate there yet. That hasn't moved forward totally yet, but we're on that. You know, Kevin's worked diligently on it. Mr. McCombie on that one too. And still is. We have been meeting, Dr. Belger, myself, Mr. Bacom have been meeting over the changes that we feel are needed for the playgrounds to move forward with that. We've done that, the playground equipment that was obsolete and in need of repair. We saved some money and we demoed that ourselves, hauled that out. So that structure's already gone. We've moved the new equipment that's pending to go in the future off the drive areas and parking areas and move them back out of the way. So we continue to research that and make changes on who's involved in the future and training for the parties involved in each of the buildings. And I think we have that all in place. We come back, we can present that to the board. And I think you'll be very pleased with how that'll be. A lot of playground equipment is bought, purchased, and put in. It does not include ADA. So that's what we want to change to. And we've got some positive conversations that we've had with that. So looking forward to moving forward with all that. I know that everyone is. Thank you.
When do you think you'll start those, the ADA recommendations?
We're in the process of putting all that together now.
Okay.
So I would hope in the near future. And then in the near future, if we do have to do a playground installation, it also meets the requirements of ADA at the same time for other students as well. It's a big endeavor. It's very costly. There's a lot involved, but I think we'll keep the board and the staff here, or superintendent and administration here, and updated with that as well. I think that's the big thing, is communication. But I think it's a positive move for all of us.
It's the right thing to do to make sure everybody can use the area.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a great.
Is there any summer projects that we didn't get completed? that we're gonna have to deal with before next summer? We didn't get them done? Anything that's gonna haunt us before?
Busy summer. We've had a lot that
So you feel like,
we've accomplished to move into the new 6th, 7th grade building.
sounds like that went smoothly.
It did. Everybody's done a great job. Everybody worked as a team. It's been great. I have no complaints. Our
Nice.
equipment's mostly moved over there now for custodians. We're doing training coming up in there with all of our equipment, with all the employees there. Trash dumpster is supposed to have been delivered this week. I'm assuming it's there. I didn't follow up. Great. No, it's a nice building. It's gonna be a great building. Great environment for students.
Good.
Other than that, there's probably things that I'm not thinking of that I didn't think were that big that we've done. These are just the main topics that
There's no glaring red flags is what I'm asking, that we didn't get done.
Just
It's
your
gonna cause,
statute, your statute.
whatever. Nothing. We don't have a big hole of concrete somewhere that,
we'll always have concrete repairs and replacements.
oh, did they do
I'm
that for
working
the,
on putting next year's items right now. So we'll have
did that east
repairs.
entrance to the high school get done?
What?
The east entrance to the high school?
Yeah.
That got
That
completed?
was first on his list.
Okay.
What were you doing?
I was daydreaming about the west entrance, probably.
Statues.
Yeah, the statues.
Your statute.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Gary.
thank you and your team for all the hard work, Gary. Okay. Last but not least, middle school update. Good news, Bill. We're not talking about that other place, are we? Only good news today, right?
Yeah, a lot of good news today. Yes. Evening and okay, really brief update on the middle school. Starting with Coffin Drive, the substantial completion is scheduled for August 22nd. And at this particular juncture, the project's 96% complete, based upon pay apps and that type of thing. And as it's mentioned, it's been a busy few weeks. More cardboard than I've ever seen in my life. From furniture and equipment and classroom supplies, it's been significant. Speaking of furniture, furniture's in place. It's just a couple examples of that at this point. Same way with vocal and instrumental music. A little different furniture, again, all in place, waiting for students. Commons area, a lot of different things can happen here, and the school and school staff will be ready for that. As far as the punch list items, there's a little over 300 items currently, and about 100 of those are landscaper issues that will be done in the fall when we can count on better conditions temperature wise for seeding and tree replacement. And it's really not unusual, at least in my experience, a large project like this. And as I mentioned there, typically what I've dealt with in the past was painting. And it was always a problem trying to get those completed. But this particular sub did a good job with that. They are finished. And White's is going to stay on site until the completion of the punch list item, which everyone's actively working on. I know White's has been after a subcontractor or two. It's that time of year when some subcontractors are working on other projects, other school projects. So sometimes it's about who screams the loudest. But
they're doing a really good job for you. You know, the classroom organization, you know, this is from yesterday, and you can really tell that a lot of staff are in the buildings and putting things together and creating a place that are going to welcome students. It's, you can just see they seem to be bubbling when I cross paths with them. They're so excited about what's happening here and the opportunities. And with that in mind, yeah, I just took a shot at this on one of the classroom doors to welcome kids as they come in. And with that, anybody has any questions or comments?
Seems like a smooth process. So,
Yeah, it worked great. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, anything else for the good of the cause?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn in a second.
Second.
All right, we are.